I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Season 1, Episode 10.
I like what you did there, saying the whole name.
I like what I'm continuing to see here. It's just a joy to watch, man. I'm really in love with this show so far. I loved last episode. Going into this show, after the first, 5 episodes that we watched, I didn't expect, nor did I need amazing choreography in terms of fighting. I am so glad that it's happening, though. It's just another thing that pushes the show over the edge for me into greatness.
I'm going to be exceedingly jealous of those individuals in the future that will get to binge watch all of the episodes of this show nonstop and just can watch it throughout the night, as I would have done upon watching this show a few years ago.
There's only one thing that's a little bittersweet. I'm gonna kind of miss Linny. I really liked Linny's, weapon arsenal and, the way that she moved is cool.
I think all of the demon characters that we've met so far are incredibly great character designs. Just this interesting, unsettling idea of these beasts hiding, pretending to be more human than they really are. I really love this idea. It's unsettling, it's creepy, it's tense. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, are we gonna, once we defeat Aura the Guillotine EZ, are we not gonna have demons anymore that we're coming across?
Nah, we will. Aura's only one of the 7 sages of destruction. And I imagine this episode we will watch Aura's scales of obedience be broken and crushed. I hope.
Yes. The risk is not going to pay off this time.
I don't know. Maybe that they've just built up this, no pun intended, aura around Frieren that, is undefeatable, but just to subvert our expectations here. Who knows? Maybe Fern and Stark need to help. Probably
we need
not.
the
But
3
maybe.
of them.
You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Flashback.
Like the sound.
Oh. Oh. I'm so excited. Who are you? A demon. She's the one who named them. That's amazing.
They don't play fair.
So we must be even more unfair. I will embrace this dishonor. I love her.
I love that the dress she's wearing as she's walking in the beginning of the intro is what she's wearing back then, and then it transfers to the new clothes, and then Himel's hand. Amazing.
So are you going to also take that as Flom was the person who came up with the word that everybody uses now within this world for demon?
And how to characterize them.
This might be my favorite, iteration of demons in anything I've watched. I really like how, niche and specific they're going. Usually it's such an it's like a similar instance is goblins, right? Ooh, goblins are enemies, demons are enemies, and it's not just complicated oh, how do we defeat them, but the actual presence of the demon and what their mentality is like and what their goals are is so interesting in the show.
It's specific to something internal to them in terms of their lack of heart or understanding. And it's they have magic capabilities just as humans and elves do, but their thought process and why they do what they do, their reasonings, their inspirations, their drive is different, and it's twisted, it's empty almost.
Yeah. A powerful mage. Oh my god. Yeah, it did, you fucking loser. Look at you, sitting there with a hole in your stomach.
But she's alone right now.
She'll trick Aura.
You gotta play more unfair. That's what she learned. A disgrace to all mages.
Oh my god.
What they've done is a disgrace to all mages.
Oh, back with Flom.
That's a lot of elves in one place.
Were demons, like, specifically targeting elves?
Did she... There's no way she, like, found Frieren here.
Frieren. Wow, this is their first meeting. I love her so much. I love seeing the monarch.
Because you're far more powerful. Swing. I love that she just like decides.
Oh shit.
We get to see her fight.
Concealing their mana.
They all have a ridiculous sense of pride when it comes to
like
magic.
Linny.
Of course they would.
Leave the elf girl and go.
They must have needed to kill all elves. Demon King's orders.
Why?
So is it not just because they lacked romantic interest?
Maybe it's something with like potential. Oh!
Oh my god. And he judged Fern as a weakling.
Even the language that she used was similar to Fern's. Oh my god. Oh! Allow them to miscalculate your
The shape of her mana
strength.
is the same as we get of Fern's at the beginning of this episode, and now it's huge. Like what she was doing to disguise it. That small pillar coming off of her.
Whoa. Do you think the magic originated with the demons?
Wasn't this what Fern was complimented on when Frieren met her?
For life. Woo!
Could sense it. She must realize she's being tricked. No. No. She's definitely gonna think she'll win then.
Oh my god. Are you ready? Oh, what a shot.
Nor can they. They're deceivers, but they can't deceive that. She's using it. They just cut away. Great question.
Tell me, Flom. Individuals.
They're probably too proud to do that. That's how you know which demon is important?
Might makes right. Wow.
Status and wealth are for humans.
Dignity itself.
So why you couldn't hide that?
Foolish. That's why they have that opinion. Lugner has that opinion on Frieren for suppressing it.
Yeah, as soon as they stepped forward, they stopped hiding. No benefit to suppress the mana.
So they can, but they would never.
Yeah.
This is so interesting. Jesus! Whoa! Mm-hmm.
She wears her earrings now. Wow.
I have chills. Oh,
She knows that
around
spell.
him. Oh my god.
And she got to use it for Himmel once she learned what that flower looked like.
There's like a level of emotional significance within Frieren in regards to that spell, which adds so much importance to the Himmel scenes. Oh my god. So you can deceive, right?
And even then, she was just a part of the party of heroes, just an elf in the party of heroes. Oh,
Look at
those
that
are cool.
I could watch thousands of years of this. Look at that!
Oh, those beavers?
What the fuck? That was like a big white cat dog.
She's watching settlements grow. How crazy is that?
Look at how high it's getting. Do you see that? Is this their meeting?
They got to get her.
Oh my god!
He could tell.
Just a feeling?
It's a feeling, yeah.
This is fantastic.
And that's what she said to her.
Oh! What a way to bring us back.
Whoa! It comes out of you like your soul. Like, oh.
And they're gonna go on the scale? 80 years ago, yep.
勇者一行とともに魔王様を倒した年齢不詳のエルフの魔法使い。あなたがどれだけ長く生きた魔法使い。あなたの魔力が全てを物語っている。手に取るようにわかる。優秀な魔法使いだけれども、自体はそれほどでもない。せいぜい合わせて100年程度。80年前と大して変わっていない。
Barely changed since 80 years
Bro, that's a
ago.
compliment you don't even know.
それともダラダラと生きて。 どちらにせよ
She works on her mana every freaking day.
Whoa.
私の勝ちよ。あとはこの私直あなたの首を落としてあげる。
Is she still tricking her? Is she still able to control it right now?
少し警戒しすぎた。軍勢もだいぶやられちゃったし、後で補充しないと。
It's getting heavier. It's getting heavier.
天秤がフリーレンの私の魂を天秤に乗せたな。正直このまま軍勢の物量で押されて、お前が自分の魔力に自信を持ってやっとお前を倒せる。
Do you listen to this?
もう気がついているはず。私は魔力を制限していた。
Score is amazing.
お前は見誤ったんだ。アウラ。そんなはずはないわ。それならこの私が見くには。
No hint of instability. She's been...
That comes with suppression. She's suppressing the suppression.
Her methods.
Natural. Oh my god. This is like Dragon Ball Z when they come out of the time chamber.
To deceive demons.
She's sweating.
Unknown age.
Oh my god! Oh.
自害しろ。
The hair. That was the coldest thing I've ever seen.
So cold.
That felt like it was 20 seconds. That was 5 minutes at most. Okay, that was Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Season 1, Episode 10. You made a comment in the intro about me referring to it
as its full title.
It deserves it.
It does.
It needs that weight.
Did you take that from our conversation? I think it was last episode, because the episode titles for episode 8 and 9 were, I believe it was like Frieren the Slayer and then Aura the Guillotine, and we talked about the weight of having that like extra title attached to your name. And then you are using it now in how you address the show.
Yeah. Man. I'm speechless, but I'm just gonna gush for the most part. One of the things that I tend to like really focus on in movies and TV, specifically a lot of anime, because that's what we primarily watch here, is score, is music. You know, in a lot of Western media, there's a tendency to utilize music and tracks that have been around and popularized for a long time to be able to, you know, get that emotional resonance out of nostalgia that you'd like. And
I can think of a show right now that we're watching that does that.
And that takes a lot of money. But man, I think that if it was any other show, I would have immediately been like, oh my god, are you listening to this? This score is fucking phenomenal. But I couldn't even get there because I was so lost with my excitement and focus into what was happening in front of me. But the score this episode was phenomenal, especially in regards to that last interaction between Aura and Frieren. It was phenomenal. It was so good. And okay, another thing that I had written down, I had thought this from the the first 20 seconds of the episode, and it only got stronger as it went on. The entire time, we know what's gonna happen, right? Like, even in, like, going into this episode, unless they have some curveball, we're going to go in with the expectation that Frieren's going to body Aura. Oh my god, the execution of it was phenomenal. The entire time, I'm like, you could so easily get bored in a lesser show being like, oh, yep, this is gonna happen. Oh, look, it happened.
Because you know that your main character is probably so much more, like, powerful than the opponent, that it's just gonna be... You don't really, like, viewers don't necessarily want to watch an easy fight.
Yeah. And like, when they do, they tend to fall into the OP trope, right? Of like, oh yeah, it's no match, I'm gonna wipe the floor with you. Like in Jujutsu Kaisen, there's like an example. There's like,
or it's like
One Punch Man type shit.
If you're writing a really overpowered character easy fighting someone else, it's oftentimes that opponent, the villain character, has an overconfident personality of kind of misjudging you, or maybe thinking of themselves more highly than they think of you. And I think that that's common, but I like that there's like a twist here where it's the demons as a whole, but also the fact that Frieren is purposefully creating the misjudgment.
But it's not
miscalculation.
It's not just that, because there's another combination happening in a lot of shows in anime specifically. It's a character who is on the edge of, they've used everything that they had. They are going to like they're going to go 150%, even though they only have 100%. And upon going 150%, they recollect through memories and think about all the loved ones and everything that was important to them. And that helps push them beyond their limits. This took the overpowered, like, trope and the trope of memories being utilized to push yourself further, and like married them into the most beautiful thing I've ever gotten to witness. Because not only was it giving us lore, not only was it giving us a character that we really wanted to see more of, that being Flam, but it gave us this like peek into the fighting style or point of view that Frieren has going forward into not only this fight, past fights, but future fights. It is so fucking cool and interesting. Like, I think that in the OP, like, if you just want to like have an anime that has a character that's really overpowered, then you are like, okay, he's concealing his strength. I think I'm stronger. Oh, what? He's actually that strong? And then they're defeated. They put so much thought into the reasoning why concealing your mana would benefit and give you that advantage over demons and what the demons' perspective of that would be. The lines when they were talking about like comparing it to humans like status and wealth was so interesting.
Frieren's magic is we get this idea when we have Fern attack Lugnar the first time. I think it was episode 8. He says that's not just like, you know, an offensive magic, that's demon killing magic. Frieren has been created by Flamme to be a demon killing mage, to be making a mockery of magic for the sake of basically protecting everyone from demons.
Yeah.
To be the like sacrificial, the coward mages that do things even though they love magic, they're doing a disservice to their magic in a way, and to other mages, making a mockery of it, but for the goal of becoming these demon-killing weapons, basically, utilizing all of this knowledge that they have about demons. And Frieren, until Himmel found her, we learn in this episode, she was just not making a name for herself. She was living in a forest by herself since Flamme's death, in the same forest as that little village, and she watches it grow into a bigger and bigger settlement, and then that's when Himmel and the party of heroes come along. But she spent that entire time working on the mana suppression and not doing anything to call attention to herself, because she wasn't supposed to call attention to how powerful she was until she had the opportunity to defeat the Demon King.
Okay, I want to talk about two things, and one of them being the, like, everything that they had laid before us in terms of Fern, and everything that they laid before us in terms of Frieren. And Frieren specifically is what you just brought up. The idea of getting to see Himmel and co stumble upon, discover Frieren, right, was something that I was hoping that one day we'd get, but nowhere close to now. Since we're there, I love their interactions. Who's this annoying, like, irritating individual, but the thing that was the best was Himmel just having a feeling, and how that directly resonates with what we just saw Flamme say to Frieren upon discovering her, and Frieren saying, just had a feeling about your strength, about how you're the stronger one, and how that, okay, let's think about the connection of Frieren being able to say something similar, which is the acknowledgement to Flamme that Frieren is something special and needs to be cultivated and journeyed with. And then upon hearing that for the first time from Himmel's mouth, Frieren does the same thing. And then throughout their entire journey together, we didn't even know it at the time. The significance of Frieren utilizing flowers in a field amongst the whole group of them, and then doing it again for Himmel's grave.
This whole episode also brings up a great point about Frieren's sentimentality, that you would see her broadly as maybe more cold, and before Himmel's funeral, she wasn't crying until the very end of the funeral, and people were like talking about, didn't she travel with him for so long? Frieren's sentimentality, not only does she use that spell and agrees obviously to use it for Flamme's grave, and but then to go and specifically try to find a specific flower that Himmel loves in order to use that spell for a monument of his, that the sentimentality could be also her choosing that this is the right person to go with because of what is said there.
Yeah.
And that she just has a feeling.
Yeah.
And there's a sentimentality there that I feel like she finds this human to resemble a human that she's loved before and cared about before.
Yeah. And my number 2 that I was bringing up there, because that was just one piece of like perfection that I had. The other is just Fern in general. What episode 1, right? The first bit that we watched of Frieren Beyond Journey's End, upon introducing ourselves to Fern, one of the first thing I wrote down was invisible mana control. Like, and the idea that Is this Fern's first time coming upon a demon, like, and fighting one? I get the idea or vibe that it is,
would
right?
have been Qual.
Oh, I guess in this way, like more knowledge. Like, are we? Let me rephrase that. What we've seen on screen from Fern is all that the demon interactions that she's had, right?
I would think so, because in this kind of arc, she and Stark are learning from Frieren to not trust demons and about their deceiving ways and about how they use human speech.
Yeah. So the idea that, like, the mana control has been implanted all this time, and being able to see Fern being taught by Frieren certain, lessons, and then being able to utilize them, like in the fight with Qual and interactions with other creatures that they met along the way. Like, imagine how rewarding almost this is for Fern about what Frieren is to her, and like how impressive she truly is. I would think that Frieren's dropped some knowledge about why it's good to suppress your mana like that, because it obviously fucking fooled the shit out of Lugnar. It was awesome.
And it's clear that Fern's not getting the normal apprentice mage treatment in terms of what she's being taught. She's being taught, just simple, easy, offensive magic that everyone can do, but it's actually not that.
Yeah.
And it's been curated and changed by Frieren, and then all this mana suppression, working on that. It brings me back to all of those years of Fern following Frieren around as Frieren was collecting these little inconsequential spells, and was kind of like, oh, why do we have to do this? And like all that time, I just imagined she was still suppressing her mana.
Yeah, for sure.
And all of those years of just following around Frieren looking for new spells has actually been incredibly helpful to her for the future, following through the hero's journey footsteps.
Do you think that concealing mana inherently would be okay? So, like, if you're trying to, like, put money into, like, an account with interest, do you think that concealing mana would work the same way? Like, as you're getting stronger, the more mana you're having to hold back and conceal. Therefore, it would take a bigger muscle or, like,
I get what you're saying.
Power to be able to conceal that. And because you're having to conceal more, you are, like, training your mana control and your, like, just, use of it.
Yeah,
because it's more to grasp.
Because it goes with the time. Like, you've been practicing, like demons, they've been practicing and working on a specific spell, a specific magic for however long that they live. Aura is around 500 years old.
Yeah.
According to Frieren, we get this idea that is pretty long for demons.
Yeah.
And she's been working on her mana and her magic for around 500 years. And if you're working on something, and they're working on something, the specific one thing every single day. And that's why they look down on human magic and other mages. But also they hate geniuses. But we get this idea from Lugnar that, like, they dedicate themselves to this one thing. They work on it every day. So they're exceptional at that one thing. And why he hates geniuses is because they're good at, like, they're exceptional at lots of different things without having to practice every single day.
Yeah.
But that's where you're wrong, is that this mana suppression and this growing of your control of your magic and your mana is something that is worked on every single day to the point where it comes natural. That you can be working on other things now because this is now as natural to you as breathing.
I'm rereading.
It is a trick.
Yeah. I'm rereading the part where Aura's like, oh, it's impossible that you're suppressing your mana. That would have, like, that wouldn't have escaped my notice.
She would have noticed a quivering or wavering in terms of what she could see visually.
But because of how skilled and how long Frieren has been practicing suppressing mana, it's like a suppression of a suppression.
It does make you wonder the difference between what Lugnar can see versus what Aura could see. Like, if Aura was in front of Fern, could she tell? because Aura is more powerful and lived longer than Lugnar, so maybe she could notice, because she does bring up, oh, you're probably, you know, younger than me, not doing it for too long, like, I'd be able to notice.
See,
you know?
I would say she wouldn't be able to tell, because in my mind, like, in my headcanon, because Frieren is so much more powerful that she would not have handed a compliment using a word like invisible to Fern before she's had any training. You know, like that, like in my mind, Fern's just like a prodigy in herself. She's
a genius.
Yeah, a genius. Great.
But also could they even really wrap their heads around someone who literally does it every waking hour of the day? They'd probably think, oh, you might work on it like an hour a day or something, suppressing your mana.
Yeah.
So if you only lived for 16 years, that wouldn't make much of a difference. But like, if you're having to do it every waking hour for every single day to the point it becomes natural, probably wouldn't be noticeable.
I absolutely loved Frieren telling Aura to kill herself. I feel like because throughout this discussion I've just been we've been talking about things, you know, we liked from this episode. It almost escaped my being of how fucking crazy that shit was.
I knew we'd come to it at some point in talking.
I can't believe it. It is so cold and so...
But like, also, what is more satisfying than this happening when you have the power to control this person? They are a puppet to you. What is more satisfying here? That's your puppet, and then you're gonna do the finishing blow? No, that is not as good writing as what's happening here. Like, this is...
The only thing more satisfying than that is her hair.
That her hair just starts to get cut, and the braids start falling.
Oh my god. It's so fucking cool.
That was like a jaw-dropping moment.
And then like the camera's following her head falling down and hitting the ground.
In the eyes, which is great because we see this really cool shot of Aura's eyes really, really open wide with Frieren, like in the, like you can see Frieren in the eye. Reflected back, and then to have the camera be like within Aura's eyes still, but falling, and you can see Frieren walking away. That's so good.
Do you think that the idea of ages being played so heavily in this fight, Aura saying like 500 years, Frieren saying over 1,000, do you think that there comes a day that we interact with somebody who has been training or practicing magic for over 1,000 years or for longer than Frieren has?
I'm not actually sure if an elf doesn't get killed, how long actually could they live? Like, naturally?
Yeah.
Until a natural death. Because we know that they're few and far between, but it is possible that another elf out there could have lived longer than Frieren.
Yeah.
And could still be around.
And speaking of that fucking shit...
we kind of, we had this idea or notion from like 5 episodes ago that the reason there were so little elves was only because of their lack of romantic interest and wanting to have families.
Demon King.
And then they've just kind of like, it was like, elves have just slowly, the population has just decreased because less and less they are wanting to cohabitate and have a relationship and make babies.
And that is very, like, true.
And we were like, okay.
But I still take that as being true.
It was already that, but then they made it worse by knocking out the numbers of elves that even existed greatly.
So what would the purpose be? Why go elves first? Is it like recognizing that how long they can live would be synonymous with their potential?
I think that it could be because the demons obviously see humans as way less of a threat than they do someone like an elf. Probably because to them, the longer you live, the stronger you are because you're working on your magic every single day. And if they can live around 500 years or more, depending on if they're attacked or not, they probably see humans in the same way that Frieren's like a mere 10 years.
Yeah.
They probably see humans as their magic is never going to get to the point where it is any contest to me or any threat to me. So we're going to knock out that's the Demon King wanting to wipe out any threat.
Yeah. There's nothing I love more than when somebody's able to defeat somebody else in something that they think that they're the best at. The idea of beating the demons by deceiving them, which is literally their entire lives and what they're meant to do to everybody else.
Doing.
And then flaunting their mana, being able to fucking deceive them on that, and then the thing that they're most proud of, what was the term? Dignity for demons. You're shoving back in their throat.
Their mana is the same as like wealth and status for humans. The same as wearing the flashier garb to show that you are the wealthier, more important individual.
And look at this like big cat thing with it looks like tusks maybe.
Oh yeah, it's cute. And I love how big it is.
Do those look like tusks? They're the same material as like the fingernails.
But do you know what?
The claws.
We saw a lot of pretty cool animals in this past with Frieren, and I started getting sad to myself because I'm like, she's lived for over 1,000 years. How many of those animals are extinct now from overhunting? As the settlements got bigger.
Yeah. I don't know. Nothing's like industrial. I think they're fine. In my mind, they're fine. Plus, who knows? I'm sure that Frieren knows a spell or two to duplicate items, animals, things.
Maybe.
I want to watch this episode again.
I do, too. Honestly, this has been awesome.
Do you think that was Frieren's village? I kept going back and forth because at first I was like, okay, Frieren's there. Everybody's already died. I'm going to assume she was present, but then the language used was, where was it? I'd written it down she said that, like, demons had just, like, taken everything from her, which then made me be like, okay, maybe that wasn't her village, but it was something similar that happened.
That what wasn't her village?
The one that got destroyed.
Oh. Interesting. Like, maybe she had fled from her original village to this other elf settlement, and then they got wiped out too?
Maybe.
Like, maybe this wasn't the first time she has come across the demons trying to wipe out elves?
My intuition was that was her village, but I thought that it didn't necessarily have to be the case.
I could see it not having to be the case. It could have been that, the demons attack another elf village, and then whoever survived that would go to live in another one. But I wouldn't say there's any evidence that is too strong either way.
I think it was when they were walking by the water here that.
Because wouldn't the demons have taken everything from her if that was her village? Because she was the only one left alive.
Yeah.
So.
Like that, then it would work out in that case as well. But it was Frieren talking to Flom, saying, demons took everything from me. Me too. I hate them so much that I wish I could exterminate every last one. What do you think they took away from Flom? Do you think it was like a family thing?
They could have also killed her family.
I hope that we don't learn something bad about Flom at some point. We're
already learning that they are basically the enemies to the mages. Like, they are doing a disgrace to magic and mages, or how mages would view them is negative. Therefore, I don't think we learn anything else that would be bad about her.
Sometimes, like, you'll get, like, an earth-shattering revelation that a person who thinks that they knew everything about their master or teacher is told something they did that was bad.
I mean, we are trying to go talk to the dead. So that, who knows if we'll actually get that and what we would learn from talking to the dead.
I wonder what it's going to be like, because everything's telling me that it's actually going to be talking to the dead, but I feel like it doesn't have to necessarily be the way that I'm thinking of it being.
Because this whole journey is really just revisiting and reinforcing and remembering those that have parted that you care about. I mean, just in us seeing this flashback, this episode, it's very easy for the viewer to be like, Frieren could be thinking about this stuff right now.
Mm-hmm.
She could be thinking of all of the times. She could be thinking about what demons did to her. She could be thinking about the day that she was rescued, how she learned this magic in order for this purpose.
Yeah.
So she really is remembering those that have parted in this journey already from what we've seen.
Don't leave your name until the Demon King is defeated. Fucking awesome. Flom is so
and
cool.
And still, they defeated the Demon King, and she's not a household name. She's not recognized when she's standing in front of her statue. They're like, oh yeah, I think there was a silver-haired elf mage, you know?
You know what? Not only am I gonna miss Linny a little bit, I really liked the character of Aura the Guillotine. Like, I thought she looked really interesting. The scales of obedience were a little bit like, okay, I could see how it would never be used or referenced again because of the nature of the power. But for what it was really well thought out and interesting. I like the visual of it.
So we really like the show Soul Eater.
Mm-hmm.
In this household, in this auto cave. And because of that, I want to bring up that I love what the souls look like.
Yeah.
What Frieren's soul looks like specifically. Yeah. The color choices there. Like, Aura's, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, what her soul looked like. She's a demon. It makes you feel like her soul's necessarily, like, full. It's, like, empty, you know, because of, like, that lack of humanity element. But when Frieren's has, like, these soft, like, pastel-y colors in it, this, like, light, like, pinky peach color.
It's like a white,
this, like,
a pink, and a blue.
Off-white, and this, like, nice blue. And there's something about it that just, like, reminds me of her.
It's like her eye color.
Yes, it's, like, her colors, but, like, you know, I was really appreciating.
Is it just the eye palette for Aura, too?
It might be the eye palette, but darkened, and then for Frieren, it's the eye palette, but, like, lightened.
I think that's what it is. Oh, I love, like, the blacks inside Aura's.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of something from Hunter x Hunter.
That's true.
God.
Great.
I feel like a show is something special when there's so many moments that happen that make you think of, like, the peak moments of like any of your favorite shows that you've seen. Mm-hmm. You know, any of, like, the most chilling, most, like, mic drop moments. I think that
this has to be, like, on a list somewhere, even if it's not at the top of, like, most cold, like, walkaways from, like, defeating your opponent.
But there's, so I referenced Dragon Ball Z and Time Chambers about the suppression that this is Frieren's normal state now, right? This is, like, her base. And because that's such, like, a prominent memory, like, every time that I see somebody, like, utilizing that same approach to power or technique, I think of that huge moment in my head. I don't think that the image of Frieren turning away and saying, Aura, kill yourself, will ever leave my mind. Like, I think that if anything like this ever happens again in a show, I will immediately be brought back to here, just as I did with a show that meant a lot to me growing up. Feels awesome. And I want that big cat walrus thing. I want, like, a plushie cute. Of it. Like a life-size plushie. Even the
wolves were, like, scary but cool and cute. The beavers.
I could watch, like, even if they aren't, like, crazy demon-killing, interesting, whatever, I could watch a show of just 1,000 years of Frieren fucking building houses out of log cabins and shit. God, that'd be so cool.
And just, like, going and doing little odd jobs to collect.
Yeah.
Because that was our first kind of introduction to the show, is that she just does these quests and these impressive things that other people have asked of her in order to gain payment of unique spells.
I wonder who specifically Himmel learned of Frieren being in the woods from. If it was just somebody in town,
I wonder if they like went into that town, or that is where they're from, and they kept hearing this rumor, or maybe he heard this rumor all of his childhood that there was this mage up in the forest, and he always wanted to go meet her.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. All right. That's all I have for you.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.